Hello friends, in this video I will show you how to modulate the maxillary canine tooth, and this is the dimensions for maxillary canine tooth. The crown length is 10.6 millimeters, the root length is 16.5 millimeters. It is the longest root in a mouth in an adult teeth, as you know, and the mesiodistal dimension is 7.6 and the buccolingual dimension is 8.1 millimeters. They are close to each other, but the labiolingual dimension is slightly wider, bigger than the mesiodistal dimension, and 3 times this dimension, when we take the 3 times dimension, it is 31.8 for crown and 49.5 millimeters for root length, and in total it is 81.3 millimeters, and the buccolingually 24.3 and the mesiodistally 22.8 millimeters it should be in the end. This is a sharp and pointy tooth, as you know, and it has a cusp, a big cusp from the buccal view, and there is a cusp tip, and these are the slopes of the cusp. The mesial slope is shorter and the distal slope is of the cusp is longer, and the mesial contour crest is located at the 1/3 of the crown length. It is on the inside, it's at the junction of incisal third and the middle third, but the distal contour crest is located more cervically. It's almost at the middle of the crown length, and in the mesial side we have a convex contour, but in the distal side there is a concavity here at the cervical area. There will be a big buccal ridge, vestibule ridge, labial ridge here. So I have a pre-cut block here. This will be the mesiodistal of our tooth, and this will be the buccolingual side of our tooth. This will be the crown root length. Root length should be up to here. There is a line there, and this will be the crown part. So as usual, I am starting with the cervical line. Cervical line is again curvy in this tooth. In all anterior teeth, cervical line is curvy. In posterior teeth, it will become more flat, the premolars and molars, but for anterior teeth, please remember all the time the cervical line is curvy. So I'm making the curve and extending the curve to the approximal areas as usual. My soap block is a little bit too dry, so it easily disintegrates in big parts. Big parts are easily broken from the block, so I have to be careful. It's not good to use too soft or too dry soap block, as you see here. The block is easily breaking apart, but I think we can handle it. So this is the buccal cervical line curve, and I am choosing this side as the mesial and this side is the distal side. So I'm starting to form the cusp tip. So, and the distal slope will be longer, and the mesial slope of the cusp should be shorter, as I said you before. So the cusp tip is located a little bit mesially than the middle of the mesiodistal dimension. So I am directly locating the cusp tip now. Little bit mesially than the middle. And as you can see here, this will be the mesial contour crest and this will be the distal contour crest. And there will be a really strong buccal contour crest here. So I'm forming the buccal contour crest by depressing the buccal surface. And please remember, there will be in the middle, a little bit mesially, there will be a labial ridge, a very strong labial ridge. So please don't remove the middle part of the crown too much. You need to have that area for the strong labial ridge. It is like the labial ridge separates the buccal surface, the labial surface, in two parts, the mesial part and the distal part. And the cusp tip will be located a little bit labially than the middle of the root. As you can see here, we can take a line, we can draw a line in the middle of the root, and the cusp tip should be located a little bit labially than the middle of the root. So these are the all tips, all the landmarks for the tooth morphology, the morphology of this tooth. These, all of them, should be taken into consideration. So I am making now the buccal contour crest and preparing the buccal convexity. So the crown begins to form, and I am very careful about the labial ridge, not to carve the labial ridge. As you can see here, labial ridge is here, a little bit located mesially than the middle, and there are two surfaces, mesial of the labial ridge and distal of the labial ridge. And in this aspect, in this view, the cusp tip should be located a little bit labially than the middle. So I have to carve a little bit more. I have to increase the convexity, but I have to be careful as well, not too much. Okay, please don't put the cusp tip on at the same point with the middle of the tooth. Put it a little bit, remain it a little bit labially than the middle. I see some bumps on the surface, so I am using the spatula sideways, as you can see here. And the contour crest is close to cervical line. And distal side at here, this to cervical area, there should be a little bit concavity. So the buccal surface is almost formed, the distal slope and the mesial slope and the cusp tip, but I will remain some material, some reserve material, in case of correcting the mistakes. And the lingual side, there is a big, really strong cingulum here. The cingulum is really very strong in this tooth. And the lingual surface is convex, excuse me, concave. So I am making the concavity now to elevate the cingulum at the same time. When you make the fossa concavity, the cingulum starts to elevate as well. So as always, the crown gets narrower in the lingual side. So I am making the crown narrow. I'm not touching this area. This will be the top of cingulum, and I'm increasing the concavity. But please remember, there is also a strong ridge in the middle of the fossa and the lingual side of this tooth, and this ridge will split the fossa in two parts, just like the mesial fossa and the distal fossa. So be careful to remain some material like this. Please don't forget to remain some material to form a strong lingual ridge. So I am making the distal contour crest a little bit rounder. Here. Just remove this part. And the mesial side is more convex, and the distal side here we will have some concavity in the contour. Concave and convex here. This is a very strong and sharp tooth. The mission of this tooth is to tear apart the food, and it is making the corner of the arch, dental arch, and it is managing, directing the all movements of mandibula against maxilla. So this tooth functions, works under a really big level of stress. That's why it has the longest root, and with this longest root it has the best anchorage inside the jaw bones. So please check the location of the cusp tip. And the cusp tip becomes a wedge shaped, sharp point. Yes. So the crown is almost formed. We have some developmental grooves in the buccal surface just next to the labial ridge. And cusp tip is located a little bit buccally. I'm telling you again. And the big fossa, big cingulum, big cingulum we have, as you can see here. So I am, as always, leaving some reserve material. I'm not making the fine details. Later we will turn back to the crown and make the refinements. So the crown is almost formed with the correct anatomical landmarks, and we can start to carve the root. Okay, for the root part, I'm quickly removing the excess material as big pieces. The root apex will be tilted distally, as always. I'm taking that into consideration. This is a strong root. Yes, I am tilting the root apex to distal side. This was the distal side, please remember. The root has a blunt apex. And the root is wider in labiolingual dimension, just like the crown as well. And in the approximal view, the root apex should be located a little bit lingually than the cusp tip. Again, the transition area between crown and root, because please be careful in this area, because this is the usually most difficult part of a carving work. Yes, the root started to form. And to fix the bumps, please remember to use the spatula sideways, but with great care. I'm carefully carving from root to crown carefully. Yes, so I will redefine the cervical line again later. I'm now tilting the root apex to distal side, like this. You see? Here, the root is formed, almost done. We have a blunt root apex, not too sharp, not too pointy, but not flat. It's never flat. Please don't remain flat, the root apex, in any tooth, any tooth. Yes. And now here is the concavity in the distal side. And now I need to refine the cervical line, and I need to make the fossas more depressed. So I'm now refining the cervical line. Cervical line curvature crest is deeper in the mesial side and more shallow at the distal side. And I will restore the transition. Depressing the root side of the cervical line. So the cervical line is better now, and now I'm using only my fingernail to make the last correction. After this, only polishing with using the sock, lady sock, will be enough for a good, nice cervical transition area. Okay, here is our crown, here is the cervical line, and the big cingulum here. I am making it a little bit smaller because it looked like a little bit exaggerated to me. Narrowing the lingual surface. Yes, it is better now. And these are the fossas and marginal ridge as well. The fossa has two portions. You see here there is a ridge here, and the fossa is split into two parts, mesial fossa and distal fossa. Okay. Distal concavity, I need some more distal concavity still. Cingulum refinement here, as you can see. I'm now carrying the buccal contour crest a little bit far to cervical line because it was located too close to the cervical line, so I have carried it with small moves. And developmental grooves again on the buccal side, on the labial side. So this is the maxillary canine tooth, guys. This is the maxillary canine tooth, a strong and sharp and pointy crown. Mesial contour crest is located incisally and distal contour crest is located more cervically. There is a convex outline in the mesial side, but there is a little concavity in the cervical part of the distal side, distal outline. A long root, this is the longest root, and the root apex should be tilted a little bit distal side, and the root is wider in labiolingual dimension. Here is the buccal contour crest located close to the cervical line. Then a convexity in the buccal side, but in the lingual side there is a concavity, cingulum concavity, and at the very end of the cusp tip there is a small convexity here, so it is like convex, concave, and in the end convex again. Cusp tip is located a little bit labial than the middle of the root, and there is a really big cingulum here, really remarkable marginal ridges, mesial and distal, and also a lingual ridge splits the fossa in two parts. So the maxillary canine is really nice tooth, and I think it's easy to make, easy to carve, modulate. Take care and take it easy. I wish you the best with your homework. Have a nice day.